And I just want to alert you guys that once we get the quorum, we'll probably take a pause to do the vote and we'll continue your hearing, so.
Good morning and welcome to the Subcommittee on Zoning and Franchises. At this time, please place all phone on vibrate or on silent mode. If you want to submit testimony, send it to testimony@council.nyc.gov. Once again, that's testimony@council.nyc.gov. At any time during this hearing, do not approach the dais. Thank you for your cooperation. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Good morning and welcome to a meeting of the Subcommittee of Zoning and Franchise. I am Councilmember Kevin Riley, Chair of the Subcommittee. This morning I am joined by Councilmember Abreu, Carr, Shulman, Hanks, and remotely by Councilmember Moyer. Today we will vote on 3 rezoning proposals, one in Queens, one in the Bronx, and one in Brooklyn, and hold public hearings for 3 rezoning proposals in Queens and an authorizing resolution for an amendment and the extension of the coordinated street furniture franchise agreement. Before we begin, I recognize the subcommittee counsel to review the hearing procedures.
Thank you, Chair Riley. I am Angelina Martinez Rubio, counsel to the subcommittee. This meeting is being held in hybrid format. Members of the public who wish to testify may testify in person or via Zoom. Members of the public wishing to testify remotely may register by visiting the New York City Council website at www.council.nyc.gov/land use to sign up, or for those of you here in the room, please see one of the sergeants at arms to prepare and submit a speaker card. Even if you're an applicant, I need a speaker card. Members of the public may also view a live stream broadcast of this meeting at the council's website. When you are called to testify before the subcommittee, if you are joining us remotely, you will remain muted until recognized by the chair or I to speak. When the chair or I recognize you, your microphone will be unmuted. Please take a moment to check your device and confirm that your mic is on before you begin speaking. We will limit public testimony to 2 minutes per witness. If you have additional testimony you would like the subcommittee to consider, if you have written testimony you would like to submit instead of appearing before the subcommittee, please email it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Please indicate the LU number and/or project name in the subject line of your email. We request that witnesses joining us remotely remain in the meeting until excused by the chair, as council members may have questions. Finally, there will be pauses over the course of this hybrid meeting for various technical reasons, and we ask that you please be patient as we work through any issues. Chair Riley will now continue with today's agenda items.
Thank you, Council, and we've been joined by Councilmember Batra as well. Today we will vote to approve LUs 184 and 185 for the 2560 Boston Road rezoning proposal in Councilmember Velasquez District in the Bronx. This proposal would rezone existing R6 and a C8-1 zoning district to an R7-1 4-2/C2-4 zoning district and establish an MIH program area utilizing MIH option 1 and 2. These approvals will facilitate a new mixed-use building with approximately 333 mixed-income affordable housing units. Councilmember Velasquez is in support of this application. We will also vote to approve LUs 186, 187, and 188 relating to the 23-10 Queens Plaza South rezoning proposal in Councilmember Wan's district in Queens. This proposal seeks to rezone the existing M1-5/R9 zoning district to an M1-6/R9 zoning district and a zoning text amendment to establish an Area D and boat controls within the Queens Plaza subdistrict of the Special Long Island City Mixed Use District and a zoning special permit pursuant to zoning resolution section 117-533 to modify the distance between building and street wall location requirements in Councilmember Wan's district in Queens. These approvals will facilitate the construction of a 22-story enlargement of an existing 4-story building for commercial office space, retail, and community facility uses. Councilmember Wan is in support of this proposal. We will also vote to approve with modifications LUs 189, 190, and 191 relating to the paperific rezoning proposal in Councilmember Hanif District in Brooklyn. This proposal will rezone existing M1-2, M2-1, and R6 zoning district to C4-4A and R6B zoning districts, establish an MIH program area utilizing MIH option 1 and 2, and a special permit pursuant to zoning resolution section 74-681 A2 to allow development over portions of a railroad or transit right-of-way. These approvals will facilitate the development of a new 5-story commercial building. The council will modify this application to strike MIH options 2 and add the deep affordability option. Councilmember Hanif is in support of this proposal as modified. Members of the subcommittee who have questions or remarks about today's item should use the raise hand button. If you're online or if you're here, just let me know. Council will announce members in the order that hands are raised. Council, are there any council members with questions or remarks at this time?
Chair Riley, it doesn't appear that any members have questions at this time.
Thank you, council. I now call for a vote to approve LUs 184 and 185 relating to the 2560 Boston Road rezoning proposal, to approve LUs 186, 187, and 188 relating to the 23-10 Queens Plaza South rezoning proposal, and to approve with modifications I have described LUs 189, 190, and 191 relating to the paperific rezoning proposal. Council, please call the roll.
Chair Riley,
Aye on all.
Councilmember Moya,
I vote aye.
Councilmember Abreu,
Aye on all.
Councilmember Botter,
Aye on all.
Councilmember Hanks,
Aye on all.
Councilmember Schulman,
Aye on all.
and Councilmember Carr.
Aye on all.
The vote currently stands at 7 in the affirmative, no negatives, and no abstentions, and we can leave the vote open.
Thank you, council. I will now open the public hearing on preconsidered LUs relating to the ULIP number C210283 ZMQ relating to the 26-50 Brooklyn Queens Expressway West rezoning in Councilmember Caban's district in Queens. This application seeks a zoning map amendment to rezone the existing M1-1 zoning district to an M1-2 zoning district. For anyone wishing to testify on this item remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online, and you may do that now by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/landuse. And once again, for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeants to prepare and submit a speaker's card. Council, please call the first panel to this item.
So the panel for this item is Frank St. Jacques and Silo Casey.
Council, please administer the affirmation.
Can you both please raise your right hand? Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before the subcommittee and in your answers to all council member questions?
I do.
Thank you. For the viewing public, if you need an accessible version of this presentation, please send an email request to landustetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And now the applicant team may begin. Panelists, before you begin, just state your name and organization for the record, and you may begin.
Good morning, Chair Riley and committee members. I'm Frank St. Jacques with Ackerman LLP. We're land use counsel for the applicant. I'm joined by the applicant, Sal Lucchese, the owner of BQE Fitness. Next slide, please.
Thanks.
This application is for a zoning map amendment to change an existing M11 zoning district to an M12 zoning district in the area that's shaded red on the slide on the screen. The proposed M12 zoning district is consistent with the surrounding built context and uses and would promote the enlargement of BQE Fitness, the fitness center that has occupied the site for over 40 years, which is outlined in red on the map. Next slide, please. The site was zoned M11 in 1961. It is part of a large M11 zoning district that extends from western Queens, as shown in the inset. This has historically served as an area for a range of industrial and commercial uses separate from surrounding residential communities. The built environment is predominantly conforming industrial and commercial, consistent with the underlying M11 zoning. In addition to 2650 BQE West, the end of the block fronting 27th Avenue is included in the proposed rezoning. 2060 BQE West is a 7,400 square foot lot with an auto repair shop. Next slide, please. The site is about 43,000 square feet. It's an irregularly shaped lot taking up about half the block. It's improved with a 35-foot tall building that was constructed in the 1960s and originally used as a factory. In 1979, a racquetball center opened that expanded into a tennis center and eventually a gym that has changed ownership a few times over the decades. It is currently BQE Fitness, which is owned by the applicant. The other use in the building is the New York City Gentlemen's Club, which is not owned by the applicant and which would be replaced with the proposed enlargement. Next slide, please. The proposed M12 zoning district allows an increase in the maximum floor area ratio, or FAR, from 1.0 to 2.0 for commercial use. The proposed rezoning will facilitate the expansion of BQE Fitness both within the existing building at the first floor and mezzanine levels, replacing the Gentlemen's Club. In addition, the rezoning will allow a 3-story enlargement on the parking area with an additional 14,000 square feet of floor area, resulting in a total FAR of 1.31. This will allow for new programming and amenity space for BQE Fitness, including 2 new 7,000 square foot basketball courts. Additional customer parking will also be provided. Next slide, please. We'll just go through these next slides quickly, showing in plan the proposed enlargement. The site plan and section on this slide show the proposed 3-story enlargement of the existing building on the southern edge of the site where there's surface parking today. Next slide, please. Sorry, it looks like my slides aren't matching up. If we could just go back one slide, please. And sorry, one more slide. So on this slide, this is the first floor plan shown on the left-hand side of the screen. BQE Fitness would expand into the space that's shaded in blue, where the New York City Gentlemen's Club is now in the existing building. And the first floor of the enlargement, which is shaded in red, would be used for enclosed parking. The right-hand side of the screen shows where a new mezzanine would be added to connect an existing mezzanine within the existing building. Sorry, next slide, please. The second and third floors of the enlargement, which are shaded in red, have 2 new approximately 7,000 square foot courts that can be used for basketball or as flexible space for a range of BQE Fitness programming. Next slide, please. BQE Fitness is an important resource in the community for fitness and activity space. It has approximately 6,000 members offering fitness as well as activities and camps. It serves as offers space to several local schools and community organizations for free or at reduced rates. The enlargement will allow BQE Fitness to expand their existing programming and better serve members in the community. It will also allow BQE Fitness to add employees, most of which are currently from Queens. We believe it will approximately double the existing 55 employees. So we appreciate your time and consideration in this matter and hope that you'll support this project, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Just have a few questions. The rezoning would allow higher density than the proposed expansion. Why not make use of more FAR?
Oh, so the really the answer to that is the balance between adding additional FAR within the proposed M12 and also providing parking. So the parking requirement in M12 districts is relatively high. It's about 1 space per 300 square feet of floor area. So each additional square foot of floor area results in a corresponding parking requirement. So what we've done is balanced providing as much space as possible. Most importantly, the 2 new 7,000 square foot courts, also utilizing the space in the existing building, but also accommodating that additional parking requirement. So really the answer is we would expand more if the parking requirement were lower, but it's just an aspect of the M12 zoning that it has a higher parking requirement.
Thank you. What features will the building include to increase energy efficiency, reduce emissions, and manage stormwater on and off the site?
Right, so the building will be fully compliant with all the current building code and local law requirements as it relates to sustainability and resiliency. Solar panels are planned on the existing roof, which is pitched, so that will be an appropriate place for solar. And also pervious pavement will be used on the roof of the enlargement for stormwater stormwater retention, and new street trees will be planted surrounding the sidewalk.
Thank you. 2 more. Will you provide electric vehicle charging stations? If so, how many?
We don't have an exact number yet, but we're planning to have electric charging stations within the parking structure within the facility. But we can certainly get back to your office on that. Did you guys have a number? Yeah. So we haven't made that determination yet.
Okay. And lastly, how will you ensure people assessing the site on bike or on foot can assess the site safely, being that this is going to be in an industrial area?
Sure. So what the applicant has observed in their years operating at the site is that a number of their patrons do arrive by bicycle, and they're actually that bicycle use is promoted at the site. They provide bike racks, and so there's bike parking. The area is an industrial area, but what they found is that their patrons are able to travel safely to and from the site. The sidewalks surrounding the new building, once it's been enlarged, will be improved. As I noted, the street trees will be added, but any broken pavement, will be.
How are the streets?
The streets themselves, there's currently no plans for the applicant to make improvements to the streets, but we're happy to work with DOT on any improvements that may be proposed there.
Yeah, I think it's always important for business owners, especially to work with the community boards, to be advocates, to speak about, the transportation issues that happen in the specific area. So I would just, suggest to work with the community board to see how you can make that area more accessible for people that are approaching there with bicycles and who are even walking.
We're happy to do that.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have. Any of my colleagues have any questions? No? Okay. There being no further questions, this applicant panel is excused. Thank you so much for presenting today.
Thank you, Chair Riley.
Council, are there any members of the public who wish to testify on the 26-50 Brooklyn Queens Expressway West rezoning proposal remotely or in person?
There are no people who signed up to testify remotely, and if there's anyone here in the room, if you want to come up to the podium or see one of the sergeants armed to fill out a speaker card. Doesn't look like there's anyone, Chair, so we can go ahead and close the hearing.
There being no members of the public who wish to testify on preconsiders LUs relating to ULURPs number C 210283ZMQ relating to the 26-50 Brooklyn Queens Expressway West rezoning, the public hearing is now closed and the item is laid over. I will now open the public hearing on preconsiders LUs relating to ULURP number C 230052 ZMQ relating to the 61-10 Queens Boulevard rezoning proposal in Councilmember Wan's district in Queens. This application seeks a zone and map amendment to rezone the existing R7-1/C1-2 and an R6/C1-2 District 2N, R7-1/C2-4 and an R6/C2-4 zoning district. For anyone wishing to testify on this item remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online, and you may do that now by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/land use. And once again, for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeants to prepare and submit a speaker's card. Council, can we please call the first panel for this item?
So the panel for this item is actually online. So if the three panelists that are online can state your name for the record.
Sure. Hi. Dan Eggers, land use attorney at Greenberg Charg.
Chase Villafana, Planet Fitness Director of Design and Construction.
Maria Platis, Big Six Towers Property Manager.
I'll go ahead and administer the oath. So can you, the three of you, raise your right hand and answer the following question. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before the subcommittee and in your answers to all council member questions?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. For the viewing public, if you need an accessible version of this presentation, please send an email request to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And now the applicant team may begin. Panelists, as you begin, I'll just ask that you please reinstate your name and organization for the record. You may begin.
Sure. Good morning, Chair Riley, committee members, Dan Eggers, land use attorney at Greenberg Charg. I'm representing Planet Fitness. I'm joined by Chase Villafana from Planet Fitness and Maria Platis from the property management of the Big Six Towers. This is an application to change the commercial overlay at 61-10 Queens Boulevard from C12 to C24 to allow Planet Fitness to have a 16,000 square foot gym instead of a 10,000 square foot gym, which I hear the residents of the Big Six Towers are very excited about. Next, please. Thanks. 6110 Queens Boulevard is at 61st Street and Queens Boulevard and is part of the Big Six complex. Next. It is the two-story building shown here. Planet Fitness will lease space on the second floor on its western portion, which is the right-hand side of the photo, and it plans to open around July. Next. The block's Queens Boulevard frontage is currently in a C12 commercial overlay. As you know, gyms used to require a special permit from the BSA, but the Health and Fitness Citywide Text Amendment passed in December of 2021 ended this requirement. It made gyms of up to 10,000 square feet of floor area as of right in C1 districts, and gyms of any size as of right in C2 districts. So Planet Fitness can have a gym here of 10,000 square feet as of right, but it wants to lease 16,000 square feet for the gym. So we have proposed to change the overlay from C12 to C24. No other changes to the zoning or rezone area are proposed. As you can see on the zoning change map, the C2 overlay would be consistent with the C2 overlay map directly to the north along Queens Boulevard, which extends from 50th Street to 73rd Street, as well as the C2 overlay map directly to the east across 61st Street, which extends to 73rd Street. Next, please. The rezoning would provide a larger gym for the large residential population in the area, particularly the Big Six Towers residents. As mentioned, Big Six supports this application, and their representative is here to speak if need be. Thank you again, and we welcome any questions.
Thank you so much. Just a couple of questions. If this action were not to be approved, what would be the most likely alternative? And would Planet Fitness still choose this location?
I would say that Planet Fitness, they have a lease so that they would be in this location. They would, of course, only be able to have a gym of 10,000 square feet, but I would expect that they would want to go ahead with their occupancy of the space, but albeit it would be a smaller gym. And another point to note is that the space at issue was historically used as a gym, as a non-conforming use for almost 30 years, well before Planet Fitness had interest in the site. It was a Gold's Gym back in 1991, and then later on it became what was known, I'm told, as Big Six Fitness, which was vacated in August of 2020 when the pandemic set upon us. So, and it's been vacant ever since.
Thank you. The Big Six Towers is a NORC, naturally occurring retirement community. Does Planet Fitness offer any services specifically for senior citizens?
Chase, would you be able to speak to that?
I can, Chase Lozano, Director of Design and Construction for Planet Fitness. So we are a part of the Silver Sneakers program. We also reach out to the community through a different programs and other amenities that we have that Dan touched on, and that's part of the reason that we actually requested the larger square footage so that we can provide more amenities, including a black card spa, which we find members who are a little older enjoy hydro massages and massage therapy that we have within our gyms.
Thank you. Do any council members have any questions for this panel? If not, I would like, there being no further questions for this applicant panel, you are excused. Council, are there any members of the public who wish to testify on 61-10 Queens Boulevard rezoning proposal remotely or in person?
We have no one registered to testify remotely, and it doesn't look like we have anyone in person, but if we do, please identify yourselves. So, looks like we don't, Chair. We can go ahead and close the hearing.
Thank you. There being no other members of the public who wish to testify on preconsiders LUs relating to ULIP number C 230052 ZMQ relating to the 61-10 Queens Boulevard rezoning proposal, the public hearing is now closed and the items are laid over. I would now like to acknowledge Councilmember Lewis is joining us, and I would like to reopen the vote.
So reopening the vote for the approval of land use 184 and 185 for Boston Road, 186, 187, 188 for Queens Plaza South, and to approve with modifications LUs 189, 90, and 191 for Paperific. All local council members are in support. Chair Lewis, how do you vote?
Thank you, Chair, for keeping the vote open. I vote aye on all. Thank you.
The final vote is 8 in the affirmative, no negatives, no abstentions. The items are approved and will be referred to the full Land Use Committee.
Thank you, Council. I would now like to open the public hearing on preconsiders LUs relating to ULIPs number C 220267 ZMQ and N 220268 ZRQ relating to the 141-05 109th Avenue rezoning proposal in Speaker Adams District in Queens. This application seeks a zoning map amendment to rezone the existing R3A zoning district to an R6B/C2-3 zoning district and a related zoning text amendment to map an MIH program area. For anyone wishing to testify on this item remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online, and you may do that now by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/landuse. And once again, for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeants to prepare and submit a speaker's card. Unfortunately, Speaker Adams could not be here with us today, but she sent a statement about this application that I will read on her behalf. I would like to thank the applicant team for presenting at today's public hearing. This applicant has owned and operated a small business in South Jamaica for nearly 40 years, and I appreciate their dedication to this community and neighborhood I call home. This site on 109th Avenue is currently an open construction materials yard in an area otherwise surrounded by residential or neighborhood retail uses. New housing with ground floor retail and community facilities could improve the local environment for neighbors and pedestrians. Yet, there are still outstanding concerns and conversations about this development about how this development will fit into this neighborhood. The applicant has proposed a 4-story building, while the community has continued to express concerns about height and scale. The applicant spoke to providing a setback of the 4th story in order to mitigate the impact of the buildings on neighbors. I would support efforts by the applicant to address community concerns about the development's impact on the surrounding neighborhood. There is a tremendous need for affordable housing in New York, including in South Jamaica, and I would like to see that need for more and deep affordable housing reflected in this project. I would appreciate hearing from the applicant on how this project can potentially fulfill the adequate levels of affordability needed in our city and our community. As NYC transitions to a greener city with more energy efficient buildings, the applicant should seek to maximize opportunities to make this building sustainable through the utilization of solar panels and green infrastructure. And finally, I would like more clarity and detail on the applicant's proposal to include space for community uses in the project, such as a pre-K facility and a commitment to work with local partners. As Speaker, I have led our body to balance citywide and local concerns in the land use process, prioritizing the development of much-needed affordable housing and fulfilling the economic development and housing needs of local communities. I look forward to continuing to work with this development team on making this project that helps improve South Jamaica and address our city's housing crisis. Council, can we please call the first panel for this item?
The panel for this item is Lisa Orantia and Steve Sinacori.
Council, please administer the affirmation.
If you could please raise your right hand and answer the following question. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before the subcommittee and in your answers to all council member questions?
Yes.
Thank you. For the viewing public, if you need an accessible version of this presentation, please send an email request to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And now the applicant team may begin. Panelists, as you begin, I'll just ask that you please reinstate your name and organization for the record. You may begin.
Good morning, Chair Riley and committee members. My name is Lisa Orantia, Land Use Counsel from Ackerman LLP. The proposed zoning and text amendments will allow the construction of a 4-story mixed-use building in South Jamaica, Community District 12. The applicant, Malpel Realty Corp., has been operating the business at the development site for 38 years and will continue using office space there. Next, please. The development site is located at 109th Avenue between 136th Street and 142nd Street. It's used as a non-conforming building material storage yard. The rest of the rezoning area is not applicant-owned and has a residence and a non-conforming materials yard. Next, please. The surrounding area is mostly residential with some commercial uses, and taller buildings in the area range in height from 31 to 36 feet high. Next, please. The proposed district designation moderately increases density at a wide street intersection, and it allows replacement of a non-conforming use, retention of the applicant's office use, and affordable housing where it's not currently required. Next, please. The proposed development is a 4-story mixed-use building with sustainable design elements to promote energy efficiency and drainage. It consists of residential, commercial, and community facility uses and accessory parking spaces. A total of 56 dwelling units include 14 income-restricted units under option 1. Community feedback improved the design compatibility, and we look forward to continued conversations with local representatives. That concludes the presentation.
That was quick. Thank you. I'm going to ask a few questions, and I'm going to pass it over to Councilmember Boccia, who has a question as well. First question, what would be the most likely alternative if this application were to be disapproved?
applicant would continue to operate the non-conforming use, building material storage yard and accessory office.
Okay. Have you considered the Borough President's recommendations for passive landscaping for improved storm drainage?
Yes, we're definitely going to incorporate sustainable design into the project, so that will include solar panels, energy-efficient windows and walls, use of permeable paveways to promote stormwater infiltration and retention of water on the site, and we'll also be seeking DEP and DOT approval for bioswales.
Thank you. Do you intend to set a goal for contracting with MWBE and local firms for construction and building maintenance?
I could take that, Stephen Sinacori. Yes, absolutely. In most of our projects in Queens and around the city, that's something that we always do. The Borough President has asked us to meet at least a 25% goal. We hope, to do better once we select a general contractor. Currently, many of the employees for the current company reside in the neighborhood, and most of them, as well as are minorities. So something that we're going to continue to work on and report back to the Borough President and to the council member.
Thank you, Stephen. And I appreciate 25%, but I think that number is very low. If you can, achieve to go higher, I think it would be really
our experience
appreciated.
is that we will try to make it as high as possible.
Okay.
So it's something that we.
Thank you. Will you make every effort to recruit a locally based nonprofit group to operate the daycare facility and local businesses to lease retail space in this project?
Yeah, so with respect to that, what we said is we reached out to two community facility users. First, we reached out to the Jamaica Hospital, which is a local hospital that serves a wide area of Queens. We asked them to give them the right of first refusal if they would need space, as well as the possibility of either doing a UPK or a daycare facility. There's a daycare facility across the street that has expressed interest in the space. Timing is, of course, the issue. But we also explained to council, to the speaker, that we would not finalize any of these uses without her final sign-off. So going forward, we'll be, in a continued conversation about that. But we're committed to having, local uses and something that benefits the community.
Thank you, Stephen. Lastly, the application currently maps both MIH options 1 and 2. The speaker's housing platform highlights the inflation in MIAs in recent years and that the need for deep affordability. Are you willing to commit to MIH option 1 to address this concern?
Absolutely. We originally started out with option 1 and 2 to allow us the time to go out and go through the neighborhood and figure out what's the best income levels. And after closely looking at it and hearing from the community board and hearing from others, including Neighborhood Housing Services of Jamaica, which is a local not-for-profit, we're committed to doing option 1.
Thank you, Stephen. I would now like to pass over to Councilmember Bacha to ask this question.
Could you please put up the first slide with the rendering of the building?
Yes, one moment.
Not the most important factor, but the brick color, the colors of the buildings. Could you share with us what you're thinking there?
We're open to making adjustments. The brick color, are you referring, Councilmember Bacha,
Like
to the
orange,
gray or the reddish?
Like the orange and the gray.
Originally, the building had less brick and more glass, and I guess, was it steel? And the community board asked us, to make the building look more contextual, so that's why we added the brick. But, we're open to making those changes. It was more in response to a request from the local community, that's why that brick was added.
Again, not the most important thing in the world, but there's so much beautiful brick. If you look at some of the historic buildings, brick can be one of the most beautiful things, and I think
We'd be happy to
you
look
might
at-
want to take another look at
not-
what's out there. It could be really, really nice.
Absolutely, we're not wed to that brick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Boucher. Are there any more colleagues that have questions for this panel? There being no further questions, this applicant panel is excused. Council, are there any members of the public who wish to testify on 141-05, 109th Avenue, rezoning proposal remotely or in person?
No members of the public signed up to testify online, and we don't see any in the room. So, Chair, you can go ahead and close the hearing.
There being no members of the public who wish to testify on preconsidered LUs relating to the ULUP number C220267, CMQ, and N220268, ZRQ relating to the 141-05, 109th Avenue rezoning proposal. The public hearing is now closed and the items are laid over. Thank you, Council. I will now open the public hearing on a preconsidered resolution and authorizing resolution pursuant to the section 363. Hold on 1 minute. Excuse me. I will now open the public hearing on a pre-considered resolution and authorizing resolution pursuant to section 363 of the Charter for the amendment and extension of the citywide coordinated street furniture franchise agreement. In 2003, the City Council adopted resolution number 1004, LUs number 226-A, authorizing the New York City Department of Transportation, acting on behalf of the City of New York, to grant a non-exclusive franchise for the occupation and the use of the inalienable property of the city for the installation and maintenance of the newsstand structure and the installation, operation, and maintenance of the bus stop shelters, self-cleaning, automatic public toilets, and public service structure. Today, the city and J.C. DeCole, the current franchise, now seek to amend the controlling franchise agreement to extend the terms for an additional 5 years, as well as to incorporate others additional rights and responsibilities, including an increase in the overall number of bus stop shelters and automatic public toilets that may be provided. For anyone wishing to testify on this item remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online, and you may do that now by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/land use. And once again, for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeants to prepare and submit a speaker's card. Council, can we please call the first panel for this item?
Yes, the panel for this item is Michelle Craven and Miranda Alquist.
Council, please administer the affirmation.
If you could both raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before the subcommittee and in your answers to all council member questions?
Thank you so much. For the viewing public, if you need an accessible version of this presentation, please send an email request to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And now the applicant team may begin. Panelists, as you begin, I'll just ask that you please reinstate your name and organization for the record. You may begin.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chair Riley and members of the Subcommittee on Zoning and Franchises. I'm Michelle Craven, Assistant Commissioner for Cityscape and Franchises at the New York City Department of Transportation. And with me today is Miranda Alquist, Director of Legislative Affairs. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on the Coordinated Street Furniture Franchise Authorizing Resolution. This resolution would authorize DOT to seek permission from the New York City Franchise and Concession Review Committee, also known as the FCRC, to extend the city's franchise agreement with J.C. DeCo for 5 years, bringing the total term of the agreement to 25 years and authorizing it through June 2031. This extension would be consistent with the franchise limits set forth in the city charter. To give some background on this franchise, in 2006, DOT awarded a 20-year franchise to Samusa Inc. for the construction, installation, and maintenance of bus stop shelters, newsstands, automated public toilets, also known as APTs, and public service structures. In 2015, the FCRC approved a change of control to JCDecaux North America, Inc., making JCDecaux the new franchisee. The current franchise ends in 2026. In addition to constructing, installing, and maintaining the street furniture structures at no cost to the city, JCDecaux provides the city with 3 forms of compensation annually. First, a franchise fee. Second, access to 22.5% of the New York City street furniture ad panels, including 2.5% for city agency public service advertisements. And third, alternative compensation in the form of advertising in JCDecaux's foreign markets each year. The administration supports extending the franchise agreement by 5 years, as doing so will provide a number of benefits for the city and New Yorkers. The extension will provide additional street furniture, as well as continuity of design and maintenance of such infrastructure. JCDecaux has been a good maintenance partner to the city, maintaining and repairing street furniture quickly, even under challenging circumstances throughout the pandemic. The proposed amendment will add 360 new bus shelters. Nearly 68% of people who commute by bus are people of color, and 52% are immigrants. Bus shelters improve the experience of bus riders, enhancing comfort with benches and shelter from rain, snow, and sun. The extension will also add a mechanism to provide 40 new state-of-the-art automated public toilets, which will further this administration's commitment to increasing access to public bathrooms. The city welcomes the council's partnership in ensuring that this new street furniture is placed in locations where it will have the greatest benefit. The extension will also provide stability for the city's revenues for the additional 5-year period. JCDecaux will pay the city a guaranteed minimum plus revenue share of advertising for a total of approximately $250 to $300 million from 2026 to 2031. In addition, JCDecaux will continue to provide more than $26 million per year in overseas advertising for no additional cost, which will aid the city in its pandemic recovery by promoting tourism. This administration is committed to equity, and that is reflected in this proposal. The proposed amendment agreement will add a 30% MWBE target that will support local construction companies and other vendors throughout the city. Such target does not exist in the current agreement. In conclusion, the administration supports this resolution, which would allow DOT to seek permission from the FCRC to extend the franchise agreement. We'd be happy to answer any questions.
Oh, thank you so much. I have a couple of questions, and I'm going to pass it over to Councilmember Carr, who has a question as well. Could you please clarify the need for the additional 5 years?
So the additional 5 years is part of this negotiation that we've entered into with JCDecaux. We're seeking this amendment that will provide us with these additional services. Without the 5-year extension, we won't get the additional services now, but that includes these 360 bus shelters, up to 40 APTs. And then through that 5-year term, we'll get the additional overseas advertising plus additional revenues to the city, like substantial revenues, that will help to provide stability in the contract and stability to the city's finances.
Could you please clarify the changes to the program in terms of specific facilities to be installed and how the numbers compare to what was originally approved or what is permitted under the current agreement?
So the current agreement, the initial agreement had a cap on bus shelters of 3,500. And when we did the change of control in 2015, we got an additional 75. So that's 3,575 total. We're basically at
What year you said?
2015. We're basically at that cap now. We have no excess to put bus shelters out in the street right now. There are about 3,330 on the street currently. I can tell you, because there have been service cuts from the MTA over the years, particularly in 2010 and 2011, we had to take some out. There are also some that are temporarily out of service for construction. But if you want to break down by borough in terms of what's out there right now. Currently active, this factors out the ones removed for construction right now. In Queens, there are 968. In Brooklyn, 871. In Manhattan, 720. In the Bronx, 563. And Staten Island, 208. I also have the original installation numbers if that's helpful, but whatever.
Okay, so I have a huge issue with last two, and I'm sure Councilmember Carr is going to bring that up as well. But the Bronx, what was the determination when you guys were suggesting where you put bus shelters?
So under the original contract, of the 3,500, 3,300 were designated to be replacements of bus shelters that were already there.
3,300.
3,300. So the vast majority were just done as replacements, basically. And only 200 were for additional new sites, that we call them. Most of the new sites that we installed were either done as community requests, elected requests, like we just sort of took requests as we got them. We would inspect the sites to see if they met the siting criteria in the contract. you know, we take a look at factors in the area, you know, are there senior centers, is the ridership high, you know, is there a need for the shelter, and then install it if it made sense. But again, the number of new sites was very low, and I think this amendment would give us over 300 new sites, which is more than we were getting really in the original 20-year agreement, and so this would give us an opportunity to, I think, to put more new sites out there, and I would certainly welcome input from you, from anyone else at the council, for locations where we can put.
So out of the 360, you don't have any designated boroughs that you're going to be putting that 360 in?
No, there's a few, I will say a few is part of the deal with J.C. Deco that we're looking at putting in at sort of high passenger, high revenue locations that will help to fund the rest, but the vast majority will be in DOT's sole discretion.
Does J.C. Deco not view the Bronx or Staten Island as high revenue locations for them to put bus shelters?
I would defer to them, but I feel like most of their ad sales come from Manhattan. But I will say, all of the shelters to date have been like at sort of DOT's determination, and then again, the vast majority will be at DOT's discretion.
Okay, I just want to state for the record, I did have a conversation with the deputy speaker this morning, and she's very concerned about this as well. She shares the same concern as myself. We feel like the Bronx, Staten Island, we don't get these bus shelters, of course. And we're having a lot of members in our community who are just standing when it's raining, horrible weather. They have no shelter to wait for any transportation. So I just would like to highly suggest that you guys look into that when you're putting in the new shelters, especially that, you know, we're representing the Bronx here. Councilmember Carr is representing Staten Island, and these numbers are really, really, really low. Okay? Thank you.
And again, if you have suggestions, we would be happy.
Of course,
Yeah,
of course.
please.
Thank you. What will be the council's role, if any, in identifying locations for any of the additional facilities? And I'm pretty sure you said these locations haven't been determined yet, but what will be our role in determining these locations?
So we will welcome any kind of input that you want to give to us and sort of suggesting recommendations for sites.
Okay.
We'd be happy to work with you. We'd be happy to work with, you know, anyone in the council for recommendations.
Thank you. From an equity perspective specifically, how can we ensure the facilities are located in ways that reach underserved communities and take into account others that in terms of bottom line revenue?
I think it really is a matter of community and elected input, right? I think we want to hear from local communities, we want to hear from local elected officials to make sure that we're hitting the right locations in the places that really need it.
Thank you. Could you please clarify the background on this agreement, specifically in terms of any changes in land use review process that have taken place since the council's 2003 authorizing resolution?
I don't think there have been any specific changes to the ULR process. We did consult with the Department of City Planning a few years ago to see if we could go over the bus shelter cap, and they advised us that we could go over by about 10% or so in terms of the total number of bus shelters installed and in operation in the ground without sort of triggering any land use review needs.
And that was
So
the
we're
extra
good.
75 that you have mentioned.
Well, the extra 75, but they're also willing to let us go up to about 3850.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since some people may be wondering, could you clarify how the coordinated street furniture franchise relates, if at all, to the Link kiosks that provide Wi-Fi and charging facilities?
They're unrelated. They're two separate franchises.
Thank you so much. Could you tell us about J.C. Deco ongoing maintenance program regarding the street furniture covered by the current agreement?
So they're required to clean the bus shelters twice a week, which they do. They do, I think, a pretty good job of that. And they have, in the contract, they have designated requirements for cleaning newsstands and APTs. I think they have, I can get back to you on the specifics. I think they have to go to the APTs once a day, actually, to check that they're functioning and to do a cleaning. They also self-clean internally automatically after every use, but J.C. Deco goes out to clean the outside.
What is the MWBE obligation that J.C. Deco has when they do maintenance and construction to these bus stops?
So right now, they don't have any, but as part of the amendment, we're going to add a 30% target.
Okay.
And that will be for all of their subcontracting.
Thank
They've brought their maintenance staff in-house. That used to be a subcontracted thing, but that is in-house and that's unionized.
Okay. Could you please clarify generally the timeline in terms of the current proposed amendments to the franchise agreement?
So we're here today, obviously, hoping to get approval from the council, I believe by the 11th is the target date that I heard. And then we're planning, ideally, to go to the Franchise and Concession Review Committee in June.
When you refer to the toilets, how many toilets do they currently have now?
5.
5.
And
How many are they projected to implement if this is passed?
So the current contract allows up to 20, and then this would get us up to 40. Yes, and we have 2 that we're planning to put in this year that we've been sort of waiting on. And DeCo, as part of this deal, is going to give us their brand new, they call them state-of-the-art APTs. The ones that are currently in the ground and the ones that have been in stock were purchased by Samusa in 2006, so they're not really in great shape. So the new ones that are going in will be brand new.
Do you know how they'll be choosing the location for the toilets?
So that's up to DOT. And again, we are very open to
Okay.
recommendations from anyone. They have been notoriously difficult to cite, partially because they're so big. They have a lot of subsurface infrastructure, and they need to also meet utility connections. But again, we are happy to talk to anyone about locations and
Thank you
recommendations.
so much. And I will yield my time to Councilmember Carr. Councilmember Carr?
Thank you, Chair Riley, and I just want to second everything the chair said about borough equity where bus shelter placement's concerned, and I appreciate the willingness to work with us on citing some additional locations in our respective boroughs and elsewhere. You mentioned that, barring a handful, the increase is not spoken for in terms of new shelters, but do you keep an official kind of like wait list?
We do have a wait list of requests that we've gotten over the years since we basically hit the cap, so we will revisit that. But again, we're happy
And
to take.
is the wait list in excess of the increase that you're?
No.
No? Okay. In terms of bus shelter maintenance, my understanding is maintenance includes snow removal. Is that
Yes.
true?
Yes.
So Samusa was terrible at this. And I will say that I have noticed a stark improvement since 2015, but obviously there are times where things are not addressed in what I would consider an adequate amount of time. And so can you get into the particulars of what the snow removal requirements in the franchise are, or if they're being changed at all in this extension?
So the contract requires DeCo to clean the bus shelters on the same time frame as private property owners, which is within 4 hours at the end of the storm. And if it stops snowing overnight, they get until the following morning, which has proven to be very difficult, as you've noticed.
Yeah, that never happens.
I mean, it's and at 3,500 locations, 3,300 locations, it's kind of a daunting task. What they do, and we can get you more details on this, but what they do, they have teams that go to every borough, basically start in every borough, and try to attack before the storm ends. They start trying to clear so they can get ahead of it. Depending on how much snow it is, if it's not too much snow, it's not so bad. If it's 2 feet of snow, it can be sort of really daunting. They do pre-treat the shelters beforehand, which is really good if you have 2 inches of snow, but that helps a little bit. But if it's a lot of snow, it's not a great situation. We have been talking to the Department of Sanitation to try to help with some coordination efforts and just really to get their advice on snow cleaning because they're the experts. And we've been talking to them this winter. This winter, obviously, we didn't actually have any snowstorms, so we were trying to, put something in practice, but we haven't really gotten that far yet just because of the weather.
But in particular, when they do the removals, right, obviously underneath the shelter, that makes sense. Is there a
Oh,
defined
yeah.
responsibility around the shelter?
It's within the shelter, 3 feet around, and then 3 feet to the curb to do like a passage, so people can actually get to the bus.
Okay, understood. So in terms of, managing these teams, right, DOT is not managing them directly.
Right.
This is being done by the franchisee. But what, if any, kind of oversight is the agency exercising over those operations? Are you doing a postmortem after a snowstorm? What does that look like?
So we have a small inspection team that, that actually also goes around to inspect for maintenance and everything else. But after snowstorms, we'll go out, we do what we call a 5-borough sweep, and we'll send people to all the boroughs to sort of spot check the cleaning and see how they've done, and take pictures and see, have they been there? We run into problems a lot because they'll clear and then the snow plows come through and kind of plow them back in. So we'll go and we'll say, like, look,
Yep.
you need to clear out this path. This is what's happening on this corridor. And then obviously we get complaints from 311, we hear from electeds, and we send all those to DECO right away. It's sort of follow up from places that need clearance.
Okay. Well, I think if they're going to be successful in the extension, I think that they have to kind of engage with the members directly in our offices, and that can be done in coordination with you guys. But I just think that we need to have a better rapport moving forward, because right now it's like we send things into the ether of the agency, and I know our borough commissioners want to be responsive and always are.
Yeah.
But I understand that, these are not DOT employees, nor they're not city employees, but I think
Right.
we need to make sure that we intend to hold them accountable over the period of the extension, and that they're meeting their maintenance obligations.
And I'm sure that they would be happy to meet with you or anybody on the council, and obviously we can join, we can set that up if that's of interest.
Thank you, and I'd love to get a list of all the existing shelter locations by borough if we could.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's
Thank-
all on open data, actually, if you want to see it right away, but we could send the list. if
Thank
it's-
you.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilwoman Carr. Thank you, and I would love to, if you guys could coordinate and facilitate a conversation with the company as well, with my office.
Okay.
There being no more questions for this applicant panel, this panel is excused. Council, are there any members of the public who wish to testify on the coordinated street furniture franchise proposal remotely or in person?
No witnesses remotely, and I don't see any here in the room, Chair, so we can go ahead and close the hearing.
There being no members of the public who wish to testify on pre-considered resolution for the amendment and extension of the citywide coordinated street furniture franchise, the public hearing is now closed and the item is laid over. That concludes today's business. I would like to thank the members of the public, my colleagues, subcommittee council, land use, and other council staff, and Sergeant at Arms for participating in today's meeting. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you.
Who knew you were going to be talking about public toilet?